Hey everybody, I'm Alexander Greek astrologer and intuitive. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the full moon in Aquarius happening on Monday, August 19th. There's a lot of astrology to discuss with this, so we're really just going to focus on this full moon. And then I think we will actually talk a little bit about Venus opposing Saturn as well, because that's part of it. So we're going to be talking about the astrology of this full moon. I'm going to also mention a little bit about what I think might be happening as far as like politically or with certain political candidates as well as part of this energy, just because it's kind of right there. And then, of course, we'll talk about what that might mean for your sign. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, this full moon, the biggie with this is that the full moon is squaring Uranus. So first of all, a square aspect is very dynamic, in your face. It's challenging energy, and it is right there. And Uranus in astrology is an outer planet, and it speaks to themes relating to like electricity, breaking through, breaking free, independence. Uranus is very oppositional. Like if you have Uranus strongly in your chart, you might be like the type of person where if you are being told what to do, you kind of want to do the opposite. So with the astrology of full moon square Uranus, this is a very kind of explosive, shocking full moon. So if full moons are about completion and culmination, news coming out, illumination, or just kind of like it also might just like it might speak to sort of events kind of happening in the air. It might be something sort of coming out of the blue, whether this is like an external event happening in your life, or whether this might be energy sort of happening within you. It could be something like where all of a sudden you're kind of, instead of doing the same thing over and over again, you're sort of ready to sort of seek something new and different. Or perhaps you've been putting up with something for a long period of time. It might be that suddenly you cannot take it anymore, and you're like, I'm making this change now. It is also possible, it's also, I will say there's maybe some rash and impulsive energy with this. It may not be from you. It might be from other people. It just might be sort of like this kind of electric energy in the collective. But there is likely to sort of be like shocking, disruptive energy with this full moon. However, on the positive, it is a very sort of liberating energy, right? It's especially if you have planets or points about 26 degrees of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius are going to be feeling this full moon the most, right? Not every full moon is going to be important for you. You can, however, feel every full moon in the collective doing something, specific. So again, on the positive, this full moon might push you to make some sort of long needed change. It might push you to, to sort of go against the grain and sort of express more of your sort of your individuality sort of energy. It may also just make it, you may just sort of be craving something. You may be craving excitement. You may be craving something different. Again, there is just this kind of restless energy in the air. There's a little bit of unrest in the air, we could say, as well, with this full moon. I'm just going to mention this right now. I have some notes here. I'm kind of just winging it today. I'm going to be honest. Like sometimes I'm like, here's what we're going to talk about. And I do have those bullet points, but I'm like, we're going to do this in whatever order I fucking want to. So I wanted to mention the United States. So if you're watching this, maybe chances are that you live in the United States or you're connected to someone who lives there. So we're going through a presidential election right now. Things have been tense here for quite a long time, to be honest. Very kind of wild, and if you live here, you know what I'm talking about. So this full moon is conjunct means like pretty much at the degree, essentially, of the moon in the United States birth chart. The United States has many birth charts because there are questions of like, when did this country actually start? Was it when we signed the Declaration of Independence, or was it, like when we, I don't know, got things going officially in the government? So this is based on the Sibley chart, which is a very sort of popular chart that is used for the United States. This chart has about 26 degrees of the moon in the United States chart being in Aquarius. So with this full moon being conjunct basically this degree of Aquarius, and I think I might be a degree off, but it's pretty much going to be right on that moon. So the moon in the United States birth chart, again, so I actually pulled it up because I wanted to double check, is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. And it sits in the third whole sign house of the United States Sibley birth chart. So the third house relates to, it might be a little different in mundane astrology, because mundane astrology is the astrology of events, of nations and what's happening in the world. But I'm kind of thinking third house means communication, correspondence. In this case, knowing that every single person's or most people's social security numbers were hacked recently during this Mercury retrograde cycle. And in the United States birth chart, the moon actually rules the 8th house. The 8th house is loans, investments, credit cards. And given that the moon rules the 8th house in the 3rd house in the United States birth chart, it really kind of feels like, oh, look at that. That's confidential information. Because the 8th house is really kind of information that is private, things that you don't want out. It's very sensitive information. So I'm wondering if that social security number thing is going to actually be a bigger deal, possibly. So that could be one thing that this full moon conjunct the Aquarius moon in the United States chart could maybe be speaking to. It also could just speak to the moon in a nation's chart relates to the people. So there could maybe be unrest with the people, in the United States at this time. I don't really know. It does feel significant. And granted, this full moon is happening the week of the Democratic National Convention as well. So it's possible that there's just maybe a surprise or some kind of disruption at this convention, or maybe some sort of surprising news or announcement. I'm also looking at Donald Trump's birth chart, who, y'all know I can't stand him. Come on. I'm a queer American, and I also can read and care about issues. So of course I can't stand Donald Trump. So this full moon is actually opposing his Mars. So let me just kind of riff on this Donald Trump birth chart thing, because I know that I feel like there's something significant sort of coming for him, essentially, on this full moon as well. This full moon happens in his 7th house of his partnerships, alliances, but also his open enemies, Harris walls would fall in a 7th house because they are his opposition, essentially. So this feels like a very tense full moon for him. It's possible. I kind of wonder if we're going to be getting some surprising sort of announcement or something from him around this full moon. This full moon is opposing his Mars as well. There's a very sort of combative kind of tense energy. And this full moon is close to his ascendant as well. So, this very sensitive point in the birth chart that does speak to your identity, how you come across. And, this is really kind of similar. I mean, it's not totally similar, but when there was that attempted assassination on him, there was a conjunction in the sky of Mars and Uranus at about the same degree of this full moon, albeit in a different sign, but it is related because all the fixed signs are sort of connected to each other. So I just, you got to wonder what's going on with the nation, the government, politics. I just think surprise announcements maybe on either side. It does feel like, specifically for Donald Trump, something I might be wishfully thinking, but something negative. Crossing my fingers. Anyway, I can't pretend to be neutral. I can't pretend to be a totally neutral astrologer regarding him. So let's talk about more of this astrology of this full moon. So here we go. 1 second. So another really important piece of this full moon is that Mercury will be cazimi the sun, or with the sun. I'm not sure the grammar of, is it cazimi the sun or with the sun? There's a Mercury sun cazimi the day before. And so every Mercury retrograde, Mercury eventually, during its, as it's, walking its little ass backwards, she is walking backwards, and she's going to make this like exact conjunction to the heart of the sun. And that is referred to as a cazimi. And it happens every Mercury retrograde, and it tends to be a turning point in the Mercury retrograde cycle where we get a little bit more. So we get some insight, we get some clarity. It's like the sun has this sort of cleansing effect on Mercury. The sun is also connected to like higher consciousness and sort of divine information. So it's like Mercury just is sort of empowered while it is during that process. So that's happening. And on the full moon, Mercury will also be square Uranus. So it's sort of like there is this sort of, I'm moving my computer, sorry. There is this sort of sudden clarity about something. Sudden insight, sudden clarity. Sometimes I make fun of like the word like downloads from the universe, but I kind of think that this would be a time where you would get like downloads from the universe. So like if you're into that kind of thing, I would definitely have a journal and like meditate maybe sometime on Sunday, because that would be a really good time to sort of get those insights. I also would say that with Mercury square Uranus, this is surprising new information. So whether this is surprising announcements like from our politicians and things happening, or surprising new information in your world, it's also possible too that like maybe you suddenly shift your perspective or see things in a totally new light. This is sort of like what this energy to me is very like is representing. This energy on this full moon is very mentally stimulating. It's a lot of news and information at once. It's sort of like, here's a new thing, here's a new thing, here's a new thing, here's a new thing. And, it's enough to kind of make your head spin a little bit with this energy. I would make sure to, if you're feeling overwhelmed, turn off your phone, turn off technology, if you can, and do some grounding. Whether that is getting some fresh air, some exercise, or fully like sitting in the grass, connecting to nature and connecting to earth, slowing down your breath, connecting to your breath, being very intentional about that, doing some yoga, something to regulate your nervous system and connect your energy to the earth. Because the energy around Uranus specifically is high voltage, right? So, because Uranus is literally connected to like the discovery of certain technologies, right? So we associate Uranus with electricity. So that's why we consider these hard aspects to Uranus to be very shocking. There's likely to be shocking information coming out around this full moon. And for you, that might just be breaking free of some idea, like having some new information and radically sort of changing your perspective very, very quickly. A couple other things with this Mercury Uranus stuff is there can be maybe I'm wondering if there's going to be some tech things, tech issues or issues with technology, transportation, computers. Because the last time that we had a Mercury Uranus square was around July 19th. We had, I think, the largest computer blackout in history, like when we had all those crazy canceled flights and stuff. And so I would just maybe, if you are traveling, I don't know, carry some cash with you, or maybe just anticipate maybe there's going to be a little bump in the road, possibly, just because Mercury will still be retrograde at the time. So another thing I wanted to mention is that since we always kind of want to look at the planetary ruler of a sign, of a full moon or new moon, and see what it's doing up there. And because Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn. It was for thousands of years. That's the one I use. Some people use Uranus, which I think is fine, actually. I just prefer using Saturn. And so we want to look at what Saturn is doing. And one thing that Saturn will be doing almost exactly around the full moon is it will be opposing Venus. I think this is interesting. It's technically, it's like around the 18th and 19th, it's going to be opposing Venus. So Saturn is the planet of limitation, delay, like order, doing things the long way, but the correct way, essentially. And Saturn also rules like the outsider as well, because it is like the last sort of visible planet in our solar system. It represents like the outsider and the outcast in traditional astrology, which I think partly is why it rules over Aquarius. But I digress. So there may be a theme with Saturn opposing Venus, especially in the Virgo and Pisces part of your chart, around maybe some delays, maybe some tension, maybe some hesitation when it comes to things that Venus rules, which is relationships. Sorry, there's people talking in the hallway, and I was like, that's just scared me. So Venus rules relationships, money, things of value, beauty, art, like women and femme people. It can rule over as well. So it does speak to, with this full moon, like there is this breakthrough disruption, yes, but at the same time, there's this very mindful, there's that key word, if you know, you know, consideration of like commitments in relationships, or maybe things around relationships or finances, maybe just feeling like this weight, like the sort of weight on it, like, do I stay? Do I go? How much is this worth? Or being very aware of your limitations and responsibilities connected to, again, relationships, money, things that Venus is about, things that we enjoy and that gives life sweetness. So I feel like there is going to be some tension around those things as well. Again, this full moon is like kind of all over the place. Okay, let's talk about what's going on in your with each sign. Reminder to look at the rising sign, and then maybe incorporate your sun or moon, but I go rising sign first. And again, I can't see exactly what's going on in your chart, because remember, not every full moon or new moon is going to personally impact you, but you will feel it in some area of life. It doesn't have to be this huge dramatic thing, right? But chances are, again, if you have, I'd say, I don't know, 24 to 28 degrees of the fixed signs, you might be feeling it a little bit more. So let's talk about what to expect for Aries. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know, I'm going to have these all in different timestamps, either in the comments on YouTube or in the show notes. So either way, you can click through and just kind of find the timestamp of the sign and then go to that for your sign, so you don't have to like listen and scroll and all that kind of bullshit. So okay, Aries rising, here's what's up. So full moon is falling in your 11th house. Perhaps there's some maybe shocking or surprising information, maybe relating to like a friend group or some sort of club or organization that you belong to, because it is happening in your 11th house. It rules like friends, groups, maybe like like an important member leaves. It could be something happening like in your online kind of social media communities. This is something in your maybe casual friend groups. This also could be you like shifting maybe what your goals and wishes and hopes for the future are. It's also, I also want to point out that Mercury is now retrograde in your 5th house right now too, because Mercury has moved into Leo. So it has moved into your 5th house of romance, creativity, and children. Perhaps you're reviewing, reassessing, or just kind of connecting to something from the past relating to like a creative project, a child, or even like a romantic kind of flame or something like that. Also, I'm going to mention that there may be a financial implication to all of this as well, because this is squaring Uranus in your 2nd house of money. So there could be something like financially related to this full moon. I'm not saying it's negative. I'm not saying it's positive, but I do just sort of see it there. For Taurus, we have the full moon happening in your 10th house of career. So this could be like a shocking, disruptive, abrupt end, something related to your career, something related to your work. It could be like maybe like a boss leaves, or something, some sort of information comes out, around work or an authority figure for you. It could be like a change in your public reputation or status at this time as well. It also could feel like, hey, maybe you're like pivoting or changing kind of what you are doing in career, or maybe like making a change that you did not see coming previously. Mercury is in Leo now and is retrograded back into your fourth house. You might be revisiting, reviewing, reassessing something related to home, family, or maybe your residence or something connected to real estate at this time as well. Or maybe you're just like revisiting something from your past, because the fourth house has to do just with like your past in general. These are squaring Uranus in your first house. Especially if you have your ascendant, if you're Taurus rising, your ascendant's in Taurus. So maybe if you have your ascendant at the later degrees of Taurus, you might really be feeling like you're making some kind of identity change, or there's something shifting within you and how you're presenting to the world. Maybe letting go of some long-standing patterns of behavior, or maybe it's that your decisions right now might feel shocking to other people, but to you it's just like, I'm just moving along. I don't know what you're talking about. So, for Gemini rising, the full moon is happening for you in your 9th house. So this is it's something that's like this kind of shocking breakthrough energy is connected to your beliefs or your perspective, your worldview. Maybe you believe something now that you didn't believe before. It's like some sort of shift in sort of how you see the world. It could be something unexpected coming up for you relating to education, maybe like a sudden new opportunity presenting itself out of nowhere, connected to education, or connected to sort of like something in your spirituality. It could be like, oh, all of a sudden I have a chance to like learn something that I've really wanted to learn for a long time. Or perhaps something sudden comes up related to travel, some sort of sudden travel opportunity, or you have to suddenly shift your travel plans, or something comes up in like a legal matter as well. Mercury has moved into Leo. It is now moving through your 3rd house, so it's retrograding in your 3rd house. So it could be that maybe that you come across some old there's maybe like a correspondence or communication, or maybe you coming across some information that's going to be really crucial to you at this time, or that you're reviewing something connected to like your transportation, how you get around, your daily rituals and your daily environment, like your daily kind of humdrum of life. You're kind of reviewing that a little bit currently. For you, Gemini, I think that you've been just kind of going through a lot lately too, because there's just been a lot of tension in different areas. There's this like go, go, go energy happening for you at the moment, or like really wanting to expand and really wanting to do a lot of things, and you're feeling a little bit of conflict like in your personal sphere. Then also having this sort of heavy limitation responsibility thing on you related to career, or perhaps there's like career is feeling limiting to you right now, or something connected to that. So that's happening for you right now. I think that tension will start to break up a little bit around this full moon, and that energy kind of continues to separate, or it won't feel as intense, hopefully. I also wanted to mention at the time of this full moon that Saturn will be opposing Venus in your 4th house. So, there might be some tension between work and home, between your responsibilities and limitations and things that you really are wanting to do, or that you have to do with your work and career relating to. And then if for some reason there's like this tension with home things, with your family, or with like relationships connected to your home. So I did kind of want to present that too. And again, that aspect as well, that's breaking up around the full moon too. So you might be feeling that like around the full moon, but that does start to separate out as well. Cancer. So Cancer rising. Your full moon is happening. Where is it? Okay, there it is. It's happening in the 8th house. So this could be, a sudden U-turn or pivot connected to credit cards, loans, investments, anything with like debt or credit, or inheritance, or matters of your estate as well. Because the 8th house, it's connected to death and taxes. I'm not saying anybody's dying, but there might be, questions of like, oh, like I should probably check out my life insurance, or like, hey, there's something coming up with something like related to insurance, credit, debt. Essentially, it could just be that like, oh, I need to cash something out really quickly, or oh, I need to just kind of like shift gears here and do something different with this. That could be news related to maybe like a partner's finances, or like joint finances in some way, or perhaps sudden illumination connected to something deeper. It could be around because the eighth house, I think, is about the energy that we share with other people, like people that we're intimately involved with. It's like our energy exchange and the intimacy that happens there. So it could be that you get some really good insight on that, or good insight into your own emotional state and stuff, and your own emotional baggage that you've been carrying around, because there is like this emotional part of the eighth house. I do think that you're going to be reviewing and reassessing finances at this time. So it does feel like more of a financial kind of thing, because Mercury has moved into your second house and you're like reviewing, revisiting things connected to finances, looking at things from the past connected to finances, looking at, should I be making more? Should I be spending this much? What am I spending on? Like those kinds of things. So yeah, that's that. Let's look at Leo. So Leo, your full moon is, well, guess what? It's Leo season, so this full moon is a lot about you. It's a lot about your relationships as well. This could be a culmination, completion, or some surprise sudden ending, or something surprising relating to partnerships, alliances, one-on-one relationships. So platonic relationships, business relationships, romance, all of these. This could be that, let me look. There could just be like a surprising change in one of your relationships at this time. I do feel like you're going to be carefully assessing your relationships right now at the same time too, because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, will be opposing Venus. So there is this feeling of like maybe some hesitation, but there does feel like surprising new information or just some changes in your relationships and in partnerships right now. I do feel like because Mercury has gone into your sign and it's retrograde, you're going to get a lot of information about yourself, maybe what you need in relationships, what you need at this time, a lot of personal insight. I feel like this full moon feels pretty powerful for you. And again, there is that kind of surprising, shocking kind of vibe. It doesn't have to be bad. It could be a good thing. But I still do feel like there is this tension and like, what do I do with this relationship? Like, where are we going from here? It's kind of what it feels like to me. So Virgo, let's talk about you, Virgo. I know you've been going through a lot. I'm sorry. So, hold on, let me sip. Did I make you a Virgo mug or Libra mug? It's my friend's. I'm not a Libra. He is. So, okay. So, Virgo, okay, what isn't happening for you right now? Your ruling planet's retrograde. Your ruling planet is Mercury, and it has retrograde. It has left Virgo, has moved into the 12th house. So there is this, we get that review, reassessment quality with Mercury retrograde, but it's now in your hidden 12th house. So this is maybe feeling like I might be needing a little bit more retreat, isolation, alone time kind of energy, or you're going to get your best thinking done when alone, essentially. Maybe get some meditation or just some quiet time in there. The full moon for you is happening in your work sector, in your health sector. So it could be some surprising news relating to a coworker or someone that works for you, someone that you work for. Some surprising change perhaps in your work routines or habits, or perhaps you want to make a change in your work routines and habits that you just did not see coming. Or it could just be some surprising information that you're like, you know what? I'm going to do things differently now. I'm sick of doing this like this way. We're going to do something different. It could be something connected to that. It also could be some, information relating to health at this time. Or perhaps that you are sort of wanting to make a change in the way that you exercise, in the way that you upkeep your body, in the way that you take care of yourself. It's like, I've been doing the same routine, the same thing for months. It's all of a sudden time to do something different. That's also possible. It also could be, that if you're looking for work or you want to change in your work, this would be a time when maybe you end something relating to your current work, your current job, and you begin something else too. Like this might be a time where you're like, you know what, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for this new job that I don't even think I'm qualified for. And then you might find you actually just get it. It's like something just surprising and kind of out of the blue connected to work and health for you. I do want to mention as well, the ruler of this full moon is Saturn, which is in your 7th house. So it might be that you are maybe really feeling the weight or responsibility connected to your partnerships, your clients, people that you are connected to in your one-on-one partnership space. Like there's this responsibility or this feeling of hesitation or tension of just like, oh God, I have a lot on my plate. I just want to make sure, like it might, sometimes I'm not sure, it might feel like I can't keep up, with what is required of me in relationships, or it just might feel like that they're a lot right now. Just because Saturn is that planet of responsibility, limitation, and order, and is moving through that seventh house. So I do kind of, if you are feeling that, I think some of that tension is going to break away after that full moon. So, all right, Libra rising. The full moon is connected to, is happening in your fifth house. I say that like it's a question. No, but it's happening. I just looking at my notes as I do this, and I'm like, oh yeah. So, okay. So Mercury has moved into your 11th house. So Mercury's retrograde right now. So you might be getting some information, reviewing, reassessing things. It's like maybe connecting to old friends, or connecting to old groups that you were affiliated with, old social media groups, something like that. Or perhaps you're shifting your hopes, wishes, and goals for the future at the moment. The full moon in your fifth house does suggest, maybe some sort of twist, some sort of disruption, or some sort of sudden illumination connected to maybe a romantic sexual relationship. Not necessarily like husband, wife, married vibes. Fifth house is sort of like romance before it becomes like a serious relationship kind of energy. So it might be something like, might be just information on someone that you're dating, or perhaps that you meet someone that you just spark with. It's also very possible with this full moon. It could be surprising news or announcement connected to a child. This could be that just something related to pregnancy or child, or there's something coming up in your child's life. It doesn't even have to involve you, just maybe something coming up in their life. It also could be that all of a sudden there's this spark of energy connected to like creative things, and like, oh, I really am suddenly turned on by this new hobby or this new creative endeavor. There may be some sort of surprising energy also connected to loans, credit cards, that kind of thing, because it's squaring Uranus in your eighth house of debts, as well as insurance, loans, partners, money, all that kind of stuff. So there might be a twist. There might be something, like for some of you, it might be even something financial involving like a child. So was there anything else I'm going to mention? If you're a Libra rising and you need to go and freeze your credit, all of the, our social security numbers got hacked. You need to Google Equifax, Experian, and whatever the fuck, something. All three major credit bureaus. It takes 5 minutes. You want to freeze your credit, because essentially, with this eighth house activation for you, I really want you to take easy preventative measures to make sure that no one gets a hold of your money that you don't want to, because eighth house is unexpected things, and you want to prevent that as much as possible. So I'm just making sure that you do that, because it takes 5 seconds. I've been yelling at all my friends to do the same thing. I did it last night, and it's free. And so, okay, Scorpio rising, full moon for you. I'm Scorpio rising. I know where it is. So it's happening in the fourth house. There could be some sort of sudden, unexpected culmination, completion, illumination, or just, energy of some sort of completion happening in your fourth house of home and family. So it could be something involving a family member, a parent, something around your home, around residence, real estate, something connected. That doesn't have to be bad. It does feel, like there is probably something unexpected with this. Mercury has also retrograded into your 10th house. You're reviewing or retooling or reassessing things connected to maybe career or your public image. It's a good idea for you if you're self-employed. Like this is your brand, right? Anything that you do that sort of your brand or public image, this would be time to kind of go in and retool it or reintroduce yourself to the public. This full moon is square Uranus in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. This would be, perhaps like it might be that there is something You could be either embracing different unusual things in partnerships, or it's possible that there's like a sudden twist in one of your relationships right now. Or maybe if you're self-employed, you get clients from like unexpected places, but I'm having a hard time kind of interpreting that for you. I'm going to be honest. But I would say, because Uranus is adding that unexpected quality to this energy, that unexpected energy is coming from other people, not necessarily you. So yeah. Okay. So Sagittarius, we have the full moon is falling in your third house. This is sudden disruption, sudden information. Maybe you're stumbling across a correspondence or some sort of surprising new information. It could be something coming up with transportation, with commute. It could be you wanting to do something different. Relating to your daily routines, your daily correspondences, how you get around. This would also be maybe a good time for a tarot card pull, or for you to commune with the universe in some way, because the third house is the house of the goddess. So if you connect to goddess energy, this would be a really good full moon for you to connect on, to pull it to pull a tarot card or to commune with goddess energy in some way. Mercury has retrograded into your ninth house, and the ninth house is the house of God. So, again, there's maybe like a spiritual quality to this full moon for you. Perhaps you're reassessing your beliefs, your take, on things and kind of what you actually believe about the world, or perhaps you're reviewing something or changing something connected to travel or higher education as well. Sagittarius, you've also just had a lot going on, I think. All of the mutable signs have really been tense lately, and you're a mutable sign. So you have Jupiter in your seventh house, like wanting to expand, wanting to collaborate with people, wanting to bring in new partnerships and growth for you with other people. But there's also been some conflict there because of Mars. And there's also been Saturn in your fourth house, like being very demanding and feeling limiting, and you feeling really responsible for things connected to home and family. Like there's a heaviness around home and family things for you. On top of that, Venus is opposing Saturn right now. And because Saturn rules this full moon, maybe there's tension between between things happening for you in work. Maybe you feel like you're being seen at work. Maybe you feel like you're shining a little bit at work right now, but there's this tense responsibility that's connected to sort of home and family matters for you as well. So a lot going on for you this full moon, and I would say tune into what you can from the universe. For Capricorn, the full moon for you is happening in your second house of money. You're another one that I would say make sure to go freeze your credit, because again, everyone's social security numbers were leaked. You can Google credit freeze, Equifax, Experian, Trans, whatever the other one is. You can do that for free, because there's a full moon in your second house of money. So, maybe you are, maybe there's suddenly coming up in finances for you. Maybe you're all of a sudden going to be looking at, listen, I need to stop spending on this thing and I'm going to start spending on this thing. Perhaps there's a sudden income opportunity for you. Perhaps there's a sudden ending to an income source, or perhaps there's just something coming up with like a major purchase or something connected to that as well. It doesn't have to be bad, but it does feel like maybe something unexpected coming up as far as finances for you. You are currently maybe reviewing, and this would be a good time for you to review and reassess and look at things from the past connected to loans, credit, debts, taxes, because Mercury is retrograde in your eighth house, which rules those things. Or maybe reviewing how you share finances with others as well. So is there anything else I want to say? Nope. I think that's it. Let's move on. Aquarius. Hey girl. Hey Aquarius. It's your full moon. Happy full moon to you. This is happening. So you're always a sign that's going to maybe, be a little bit shocking to other people, or really kind of follow the beat of your own drum. And this is really a time for you to kind of take stock of your life, essentially, to sort of stop and take a moment and kind of reassess things. This does feel like a personal completion for you, a closing of a chapter, or starting of a new one, albeit it may be in a way that you didn't expect, or there's maybe something unexpected about it. or perhaps you are really feeling like all of a sudden I am ready to make a change. Let's do something different. Let's present myself in a different way. It could be that change is sort of emerging from something connected to home and family, because Uranus, it is full moon to square Uranus in your fourth house of home and family and parents and real estate. So it could be that there's some unexpected energy from that department of your life. I also feel like you're maybe going to be reviewing and reassessing relationships right now as well, because Mercury, that planet of communication and messages, is retrograde in your seventh house of partnerships right now too. So you're kind of re-looking at those things, looking at your contractual agreements. I can see you just wanting more freedom right now. The ruler of this full moon is Saturn too. I think you might be looking at something financially here, looking at like where your responsibilities lie, maybe trying to save some more money, maybe trying to tighten the belt, and just sort of there might be opportunities for you financially right now too, but I feel like you're going to be looking at it like very seriously. There's like a very kind of tense energy there. So I just feel like, again, this is a very personal full moon for you and a big release. I just kind of feel it's like let's release the tension with this full moon. For Pisces, this full moon is happening in your actually, where do I want to start with you? You have a lot going on. So there's a lot going on for you generally right now, Pisces, especially in August. I feel like it was a very tense month, or it has been a very tense month because we're still in August. Some of that tension is going to be breaking up after this full moon. Let me take a sip of my okay. Not to use my bedroom voice on this podcast. Okay. So first of all, what do we want to talk about? Okay, so you have a lot going on. So first of all, we have Jupiter, that planet of expansion, has been in your fourth house since May. So perhaps there has been a little bit of opportunity or expansion or wanting to change or do something different with your home or bring more space into your home or more expansion to family, or something. The planet of expansion is in your home and family sector, and it will be there for several months. But right now, there's also Mars, the planet of conflict, in your fourth house too. So maybe there's conflict relating to home and family or real estate matters, something relating to your home. Those two planets have been fighting with Saturn, which is in your sign. So you're really kind of going through this maturity growth phase, or perhaps even facing just a lot of tests and challenges relating to limitations, delays, or responsibility put on you, or perhaps you've been feeling some challenges in your physical vitality and physical body right now. I just feel like you've been personally kind of feeling some tension lately in multiple areas of life. This full moon is ruled by Saturn. And so while this full moon is actually not in your relationship sector, I do feel like perhaps we're really feeling serious about our relationships. There's something about our committed partnerships, the people that we choose to be in relationships with, romantically, platonically, business, or otherwise, that can feel kind of heavy right now, or really feeling aware of those responsibilities at the moment, or some tension or hesitation around those things. So that's part of this energy, I feel. The full moon for you specifically is going to be in your 12th house. I feel like you would benefit from some healing isolation time. It kind of gives me a feeling of being in one of those like tanks where you just float, like an isolation tank, being in my bedroom with the door closed, listen to healing music, or just watching Netflix or something, or like taking a healing walk in nature, doing something where you have some alone time to sort of process things, to clear out other people's energy and just sort of be with myself, because you're going to get some really good insights and clarity around this full moon, but I feel like it's going to come when you are private, like when you have some private time. I also do want to make you aware too, Mercury is retrograde now in your sixth house. You might be rethinking, reviewing, reassessing things connected to your work or health. You might be thinking, can I work differently? Can I work in a different way? I might be rethinking my job. I might also be rethinking, how I take care of my physical body as well. So Pisces, a lot going on for you, but I would say alone time is a prescription. So hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you next time. Reminder, if you watch this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're looking for a more detailed forecast, make sure to check out my 30 or 90-day forecasts or email readings, or you can always book a reading with me as well. I'm happy to do that too. So hope to talk to you. Hope to talk to y'all soon. Let me know how you're doing in the comments, and happy full moon. We'll see you soon. Bye, y'all. Hey, it's Alex. Thanks for watching and listening and hanging out with me. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and make sure to turn those notifications on. If you want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, it's called To the Stars, an astrology and intuition podcast. You can listen on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere you get your podcasts. The YouTube channel is called Dog Star Oracle. If you want to listen to the YouTube channel instead. You can also book a reading with me or take a class with me. You can find me at dogstaroracle.com. It's dogstaroracle.com. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok under Dogstar Oracle as well. I hope to chat with you soon, and thanks for connecting.